Hello guys, AlexTheGrumpyOne here. I hope you're well. Today I've decided to do a quick video for you on the alternator removal and auxiliary belt removal as well, in case you're replacing one of them. So this is while I'm doing my thermostat video, so I've decided just to do a little section so you don't have to watch the whole cooling system video, just on the alternator replacement. And for that I'm going to show you what you have to do in order to get this off. Right guys, so at this stage the first thing will be is to get obviously your plastic covers off to get some space, and as you can see the auxiliary belt is there. It's tricky to show you what it goes around because obviously when you're putting the new one on you need to make sure that you take note of where everything is. What you're going to need to do, I'm going to try and show you, is you're going to need 19mm on, let me zoom it in, so you got that, I would say, knot there. That is pretty much part of the tensioner, and that is 19mm. You're going to need to get 19mm spanner or socket on there. You've got a special tool that goes on there as well, and you're going to need to pull the whole tensioner clockwise in order to obviously remove the auxiliary belt off, because that will be the first thing they're going to need to do. In case you're obviously just replacing the auxiliary belt, that's all you have to do, and I would recommend leaving the spanners on there while you're doing the job. But if you're doing the alternator, obviously I would just take it off this pulley or water pump pulley and leave it on there still, just out of the way, so it'll be easier to put it back on once the alternator has been replaced. Right guys, so here we are. I've got two spanners, obviously 19 on there already and the other one on it. I wouldn't recommend doing this, guys. This is a bit tricky to do it this way. I would try and recommend to get a proper tool to get on there. I'm trying to get a socket with a ratchet, so you have to pull it clockwise and then remove the belt off of there. It probably will be easy if you remove it off the water pump pulley that's just below the alternator, because when this pulley is bigger it will be easier to get the belt off and on. So let me give it a pull. Like I said, it's going to be very tight. There you go, that come off of the water pump and the alternator. And I'll just release it back. I'll leave the spanner there ready for when I'm putting everything back together. Right guys, this is the part in case you need to remove your auxiliary belt tensioner, which is down there. You can see already the 12mm nut at the top there. There's also a 17mm bolt going through it as well, that I'm going to show you in a second in a closer shot, just to show you obviously where everything is. So you can remove it once the auxiliary belt is off. Sometimes either the tensioner, the spring that you got in there just below the 12mm nut gets noisy, it starts to rattle, especially when it gets warmer. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's the engine issue. I had a couple of my 190s that had an issue with auxiliary belt tensioner. The best way to find out if it's that is, what I found personally, is to remove the auxiliary belt off completely off the system, start the engine up when it's warm, and you'll see that the noise, if that's the reason, then the noise will be gone, because there's obviously no tension. So if the noise is gone, then yeah, that was going to be that. Also, once the belt is off, if you got noise or pulley noise or something, you can touch all the pulleys, move them around, see if there's any play, like water pump or etc. There's another common issue, which is the auxiliary belt pulley down there. They got on it, they get noisy sometimes or worn out. You can buy just the pulley, because I think the auxiliary belt tensioner is about 120 quid, but the pulley you can get them for like 30 quid if I'm correct. And obviously that will be a lot cheaper. If there's nothing wrong with your spring there, just get the pulley. But for that still, I would take the whole unit off, because it just makes the job easier, and then replace your pulley. Right guys, so this is just about a footage for you, just to show you where the nut is and the bolt. So you got the 12mm nut there, as you can see. That's not too tight. The tight one is going to be that 17 at the bottom there that you can see. You can put one spanner and the other one on top of it, or you can use the tension auxiliary belt tensioner special tool that you get with 17mm adapter on it, and it will undo that. Right guys, so to get the actual tensioner off of there, once you're done the 12mm and 17mm bolt, which is the one I got the spanner on, that bolt's not going to come out all the way, because you're going to hit the bodywork down there. So for that it gets complicated here, because you're going to need to raise the engine, for which you will have to remove the mount there, as you can see. So you have to remove the 14mm bolts There's two holding it there as well. So there's one there, the other one down there, two here, and there is also a nut under there, as you can see. So you will need to remove that nut as well. But before you do that, you will have to get the jack under the engine and obviously support the engine, so don't just drop the engine on the floor, because then you have to jack the engine up enough to raise the engine so that bolt goes past the body there. You'll be able to move the engine slightly and the bolt will be able to come out. So like I said, it will be a bit more tricky because you will have to raise the engine and get the bolt out of there. And the same obviously when you're putting it back in, make sure you put the bolt in the tensioner and obviously try and get it in there with the engine up. So yeah, please be careful when you're jacking the engine up on the sump as well. Make sure you got either block of wood or rubber so you don't damage the sump, because there's going to be quite a bit of weight there. But yeah, that's what you have to do, guys. Right guys, so as you can see, I've undone the 12mm nut and obviously 17. That is as far as you'll be able to go out with it. And as you can see, it's hitting the body there. So that's why you will have to take the mount off now. So I'm going to try and do that and obviously raise the engine enough so the bolt will come off. Right guys, now earlier I mentioned that you have to take the bolts and the nut out of there. I think, actually remembering now how I've done it in the past, you will be able just to do it by removing 40mm out of there. There's another 40mm hidden there under the power steering fluid bottle that you can see down there, and obviously the other one down there. So I took them all out. So as you can see, that's out, that one's out, and the other one's out. Also, to get to that bolt, you just have to unhook the bottle off of there. It slides up and it gives you a bit more space there with the pipe out of the way as well if you unclip it. And as you can see, I got the trolley jack under the car holding the engine, so I'm going to start jacking it up. There is a possibility, I can't remember well, but I might need to take the pipe off of there, the metal pipe. It got rubber hoses, so it will be able to get out of the way. There's 10mm there, and there's another 10mm holding it on the side there to the body. Let me just zoom it in to show you that one there. Right guys, so as you can see, I took the bracket off. There's a thread there. There you got 10mm nut on that thread there. So if you take it off, the bracket will come off, and then you'll be able to move the pipe out of the way, which is the bottom one there. So there is more space for the bolt to come out. And now if you look, I've jacked the engine up as much as I could pretty much, because you need to be careful so you don't damage anything. And if you look, we got the bolt there. So it's just slightly above the body. I will try and jack it up a little bit more, but I'm pretty sure you'll be able to come out now. So I'm going to start undoing it, and obviously hopefully the tensioner will come out now. When you're doing this, guys, please be careful. Like I said, make sure you're not damaging the sump and everything's out of the way. When you're lifting the engine up, it's not pulling on anything or damaging anything. Just be careful and watch out. Right guys, so like I said, I went as high as I could without damaging anything, and as you can see, the bolt went past the body now. The pipe's out of the way. Like I said, if you take the bracket out, you'll be able to move that bottom pipe out of the way, and the bolt has come out now. So all I have to do now is obviously pull the bolt completely out, and now you will be able to move the tensioner out of the way, obviously taking off the thread there at the top, and now you'll be able to get the tensioner off of there, guys. Just obviously wiggle it around a little bit and work with the bolt, and you have to do the same when you're putting back in. Right guys, so the unit is out now, as you can see, and to get it out, I had to get the bolt out while it was in there. I just slide it off slightly, and then obviously the whole thing came out. But as you can see, the bolt is very long. That's the reason for obviously jacking the engine up above the body. But I've seen a lot of people saying they need to remove all the mounts off the engine and etc. to get it off. Like I said, I only had to do one, which is that side one, the one I showed you, to get it out, and it worked well. Just get a couple of other bits out of the way. So what I want to say while we're here, guys, is you usually get a noise coming from the tensioner. Usually it's the pulley that fails, and you can buy a replacement pulley for this. So all you're going to need is 40mm socket to go on there. Obviously get it in the vise, so hold it well. because it's going to be tight, and you're going to be able to get this pulley off of there and replace it. And sometimes, in most cases, actually you can fix the noise by spraying a bit of maintenance spray under it. There's obviously like a bearing there that obviously if you get lubrication it will cancel the noise. So in most cases you don't even have to take it off the car. You'll be able to spray it in there and you'll see the noise will disappear, or at least it will eliminate that situation when you're looking for a noise. The other thing that fails sometimes is the spring. It starts knocking. It sounds like actual engine noise, like they tap it or something knocking inside the engine, but sometimes it is due to this because it's attached to the metal. It causes a lot of vibration on the engine. It does make it sound like the noise actually is coming from inside of the engine, but no, it's the spring in there that fails sometimes. And for that, all you need, you can buy just a tensioner, and you're going to need 12 mil to undo it and obviously bolt the other one on. Or you obviously can get the whole unit itself. It's just a bit more expensive. It depends obviously what your options are and if you want to spend more money or not. So yeah guys, this is obviously the stage where we are now. What you have to do if you got the new unit, or if you just got the bit bolted on, and obviously then you have to reinstall everything. And like I said, please be careful. Right guys, so to get the tensioner back in there, obviously you got the bolt. Don't forget that you're going to put that slightly in there and fit the bolt in. I can show you obviously in the car because it's a bit difficult to get the camera in there, but once you got the tensioner in there, you lift it slightly up and obviously start the bolt in there, get it in there, align it with the hole. You'll feel the bolt start going in. Obviously do it up halfway, I would say, because it leaves enough space to get this part on the thread as well. Once the two are done up, you obviously start dropping the engine slowly. Move the mount slightly to align all the 3 holes for the 40 mil bolts. Don't forget to do them up. They need to be tight, guys. I'll give you the torque setting in the description below. Right guys, so once the belt is off, to take the alternator off, what you have to do is take this cover off. You're going to have 10 mil there that you need to undo. You got the plug there that you have to unplug. This just slides off the cables, and then the actual alternator, you need to slide that cable off. You're going to have 12 mil at the top there, you're going to have 12 mil there, and 40 mil at the bottom, and then technically it should come off. Right, so I'm going to try and get everything off now. The plug, you should just squeeze that in, and that should come off. There you go, so that's the plug off. 10 mil now. Make sure you don't lose them, guys. There we are, that's off as well. By the way, while I'm doing this guys, my battery is disconnected, just to let you know. Sorry if it's a bit too late, but yeah, make sure you disconnect the battery. Don't lose any of the bolts and screws. So get that cable off of there as well. Slide that off. There you go. Same with this one. You have to slide that off of there. There we are. I'll be able to get to that 12 at the top there that's held with the bracket there. So I'm going to get that off. That's that off. Now I can get the side one off. Might need. Oh, there you go. That's good. That wasn't too bad. Obviously, now I'm going to need to undo the 14 at the bottom. Alright, so that's the long one out at the bottom. I'll just get that 12 mil out completely. There we are, it's 12 out as well. Technically the alternator should come out now. It's going to be slightly stuck at the bottom there, but it should slide off. There you go. And that's the alternator off, guys. Right guys, so at this stage we're ready to put the alternator back in. So in my case I'm obviously using the old one because there's nothing wrong with it. So you just slide it on at the bottom first. and turn it around, get the wiring out of the way. Go past the bracket, lift it up a little bit. At this stage you can start the 14mm at the bottom there, get it in there so it locates in properly. There you go. And also you can get the 12mm at the top there, start that up as well. That's good, so I got that started there. Don't forget you got another 12 at the top there on the bracket, so get that started as well. And now all you have to do is do them up, guys, and obviously plug everything back on, which is what we're going to do now. Right guys, so I've done up the 14 at the bottom tight, the 12 is done up here as well, and the 12 at the top is done up. So now we can plug all the wiring back on. Just slide it on there. Same with this one. It will lock in, and you got one at the bottom. Also while you're here you can plug your plug in. That's all good. And the last thing you got is your 10mm nut. They have to do it up. So you got the contact there. Just get the socket on there. Obviously you probably noticed that I got the air pump missing here. That's supposed to be in this area as well, but it's been removed by the previous owner, guys. So obviously that might be slightly in the way while you're doing this job. Put the cover back on there, so that's all good. And the alternator is secure now. All we got left is fit the auxiliary belt on. Right, once the alternator is secure, guys, now we can pull the tensioner again, release the pressure, and fit our auxiliary belt back on. If you got a new one, obviously fit the new one. Make sure you noted how it goes around everything. So I got it here now. All I have to do is pull on the tensioner, which is going to be very tight, like I've mentioned earlier. And try and get that back on the alternator. There you go, and then just release it. And be very careful with that, guys, because there's a lot of pressure on that tensioner. And that's the auxiliary belt back on, and the alternator job done, guys. Right guys, here we are, job done. Just make sure that everything is on properly. I would start the car and check the auxiliary belt with your torch that it's running on properly on all the pulleys and not coming off, because it is quite important. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Like I say, it's nice and easy job. If you need any specs or etc. or any more videos on something, then please let me know. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give us a subscribe and a like. And yeah guys, this is it. I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you soon. Bye.